First occasion to be in the judiciary.
President William Ruto has promised that his government will support the various security organs in the execution of their duties. Speaking at the launch of the 2021-2022 Court Performance Report and Justice Enforcement, Ruto said that his government will work with security organs to dismantle the units that are breaking the law. This comes just a day after Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga castigated President William Ruto for probe into extrajudicial killings and what he claimed was a witch hunt against former Directorate of Criminal Investigations DCI boss George Kinoti. Sentiments that were shared by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on state officers being guided by the law.
We do not need the advice from the Scotland Yard to be able to remove and disband the murderous units in our police force. We didn't need any advice from nowhere. We just needed to respect our constitution and do the right thing.
Ruto at the same time opined that all arms of government should work collaboratively to ensure the country meets its goals of increasing revenue collection. He called on the judiciary to ensure necessary action is taken against tax evaders.
I want to ask the judiciary to work with us and not to provide any safe haven for the people running away from paying tax. They should not find refuge in the judiciary. They should not find refuge in judicial orders. We want every citizen to carry their portion of the burden of running the affairs of our country.
Chief Justice Martha Koome noted that incorporation of technology in the judiciary had made administering justice more effective.
The judiciary, in partnership with the Ministry of ICT and Google Africa, connected 163 court stations to the national optic fiber backbone infrastructure, the one we call NOFBI. A further 12 remote court stations will be connected through mobile broadband. We remain acutely cognizant of the unequal access to technologies, limited internet access across the country, and lack of knowledge or ability to use technologies deployed.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, on his part, has called on the judiciary to work together with the County of Nairobi to construct more courts in order to make the administration of justice easier. Sakaja noted that it was time the judiciary works on ways to reduce the backlog of cases.
If we're going to do an even better job of protecting the rights of ordinary Kenyans than we have in the past, we will need to make access to justice much quicker and easier. The people of Nairobi, for instance, expect no less. In any case, it is one of our manifesto pledges. Let us work together to open more courts in Nairobi and seriously consider opening borough courts, which would ease the administration of justice.
At the same time, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula commended the judiciary for complementing the National Assembly's role in passing crucial bills into law.
For the last couple of years, bills and acts of parliament passed at parliament have found their fate not too welcoming in the judiciary. You struck out many of them as being unconstitutional. And that is as it should be, because each arm of government must supplicate itself to the other. And whenever you make such decisions, it makes the legislature even more careful in ensuring that the laws they pass must be consistent with the Constitution and with the aspirations of the people of Kenya.
Grace Wangoi for TV Newswatch.
And moving on to our next story, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has presided over the official launch of the Mokwa maize flour and the opening of the Kigoto maize milling plant in Suba, Homa Bay County. The milling machine, spearheaded by Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga, is expected to produce Mokwa maize flour, which will be sold to Homa Bay residents and Kenyans at large. Addressing residents, the Azimio leader castigated President William Ruto's administration for increasing the tax burden on Kenyans instead of focusing on measures to cushion residents from the high cost of living. Here is Melissa Odor with that story.
Addressing Homa Bay residents, Raila continued to castigate the Kenya Kwanza government under President William Ruto for not meeting its campaign promises to lower the cost of basic commodities like maize flour. Raila also criticized the discrimination in government positions, saying all Kenyans are taxpayers and deserve consideration irrespective of their political affiliations. Raila told President Ruto to square it out with him if he has any issues instead of taking it out on tax-paying residents.
Tumeona kama kuna ubaguzi kwa upande ya ajira. Serikali inabagua eneo zingine ya taifa letu ati kwa sababu ya kisiasa, na hiyo si mzuri. Manake ushuru inatolewa na Wakenya wote katika pembe zote za Kenya. Kuna wale wengine ambao wanatoa ushuru na wengine hawatoi ushuru. Kama wewe una shida na Raila Odinga, angalia Raila ana kwa ana, lakini hapana dhuru wengine kwa sababu ya Raila.
He continued to reiterate calls for an end to the rampant killings of Kenyans and called on independent institutions mandated to carry out the investigations to undertake their jobs. Raila has meanwhile urged the Ruto administration to embark on its own legacy projects on roads and housing instead of taking credit for the projects undertaken by the previous Jubilee administration by President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Wakati huu serikali ya Kenya Kwanza inatekeleza miradi ya serikali ya Jubilee. Hata kwa upande ya nyumba wakikuja hapa kuzindua miradi ya manyumba, hizo yote ni mpango ya serikali ya Jubilee. Serikali ya Kenya Kwanza bado hatujaona miradi zake.
The Azimio leader pledged to continue putting the government on the spot over any ills in the country, saying the opposition is alive and well and up to the task.
Mwambie watu wetu wote washirikiane pamoja na serikali. Lakini kama serikali ya juu inaleta mambo ya ubaguzi, kama inataka kutoza watu ushuru bila idhini, kama inataka kunyanyasa wananchi kwa upande ingine ya ambayo sio halali, tutapinga vikali kabisa. Kama chama cha Azimio la Umoja One Kenya.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Melissa Odor.
Right, and the Africa International University, that is AIU, has today held its 37th graduation ceremony at its main campus in Karen, Nairobi, with degrees awarded to over 200 graduates, including an honorary doctorate degree conferred to the Chief Executive Officer for Cooperative Bank Group, Dr. Gideon Muriuki, in recognition of his contribution to the financial services industry. As Kennedy Kimani now reports, Africa International University is a chartered Christian university, which was started as Nairobi Evangelical Graduate School of Theology in 1983 by the Association of Evangelicals in Africa, with the goal of providing training for pastors beyond the basic certificate and diploma levels.
It was all pomp and color as the mace bearer Dr. Caleb Onjure led the academic procession to the graduation square, with Nathaniel Bassey's song "See What the Lord Has Done" playing in the background. A sign of the Lord's doing at the Africa International University as it held its 37th graduation ceremony at its main campus in Karen, Nairobi County, where degrees were awarded to over 300 graduates.
What a journey. It has been 2, 3, 7, 9, some 10, and for our honorary graduates, a life of continuous learning and unlearning. So coming to AIU, the arena of miracles as I call it, was a journey of trusting and obeying for so many of us.
The world is waiting to see that. They're waiting to see your excellence in how you do things, in your skill. They're waiting to see Jesus in your light. Hallelujah. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven.
The 37th graduation ceremony saw 8 graduates receive doctoral degrees and 1 honorary doctorate degree conferred to the Chief Executive Officer for Cooperative Bank Group, Dr. Gideon Muriuki, in recognition of his contribution to the financial services industry.
I wish to sincerely thank the University Trustees, Council, the Senate, and the Vice Chancellor of Africa International University for awarding me an honorary doctorate degree, Doctor of Human Letters. Africa International University is like no other university, and I deeply value our long-standing association over the years. The vision of AIU to train Christ-centered leaders is alive in many of its alumni who are doing great exploits in the kingdom and in the marketplace world over. It's most gratifying to see the great giants that AIU has produced in the kingdom of God, who remain the greatest testimony yet that God is at work in this place.
Africa International University continues to be committed to its mission of educating Christ-centered leaders for the transformation of God's people and the world through its innovative programs, research, and community engagement. We have no doubt that the graduating class of 2022 has been fully equipped to serve our world in these times.
Today's occasion is not just a ceremonial academic achievement, but it is an occasion of great spiritual significance. As we send out the 2022 graduating class, we affirm without a doubt that God continues to help AIU develop Christ-centered leaders transforming the world.
Africa International University is a chartered Christian university which was started as Nairobi Evangelical Graduate School's eulogy in 1983 by the Association of Evangelicals in Africa, with the goal of providing training for pastors beyond the basic certificate and diploma levels.
As Chair of the Board of Trustees, it is my great honor to congratulate the 2022 graduating class on behalf of the entire board on your achievements. This graduation ceremony is an acknowledgement of your work, creativity, determination, resilience, and immeasurable potential.
We celebrate you. We want to thank you. We want to pray with you. And we want to pray that God's grace will accompany you as you begin your next journey. Some of you will be beginning new schools, new studies, others jobs, and whatever else that the Lord will be calling you to continue with, may He go before you.
Awarded a university charter by the government of Kenya in March 2011, AIU has since continued to develop undergraduate programs, particularly in business, IT, development studies, and counseling psychology, and is committed to train Christ-centered leaders who will be agents of transformation for countries, societies, and communities. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Now, tales of female genital mutilation, that is FGM, sexual assault against young girls, and early marriages in Kenya still persist, despite efforts by the government and non-governmental organizations to curb such cultural practices. This definitely indicates that a lot more needs to be done to ensure the girl child is protected from these stigmatizing deeds against them. And as Faith Imani Mugo reports, young girls still go through these harmful cultural practices, with some who are fortunately rescued before it is too late by well-meaning organizations and persons.
The agonizing tales of prevalence of female genital mutilation, FGM, and early marriages in Kenya reveal that Kenya is still a long way to go in curbing these evils on small girls.
Mainly the issues of FGM, early marriage, teenage pregnancy affects our girls. As the children department, these are issues we deal with on daily basis, mostly on daily basis, because they are rampant and they are mainly led by, or the drivers are the culture.
I had nobody to share with it, even my mother.
By November 2021, the country's FGM prevalence was at 21%. 1 in every 5 women and girls aged between 15 and 49 in Kenya have undergone FGM. A report by UNICEF in May the same year, at least 200 million women and girls had undergone FGM in 31 countries.
Nilikuwa nimerescued because of FGM, and also my parents were not able to educate me because of school fees, and I get rescued by Mom Evelyn, and I'm now here. He's educating me. I came here in I'm in class 6, and also now I'm in form 3.
Nilipofika class 3, baba pengine akaona anitoe shule. Alikuwa anataka kunipeana kwa mzee. Alikuwa pia na advantage ya kutake kwangu kwa ajili bado niko mdogo, ili niweze kugrow yani.
I've been rescued because I was not safe. I was not safe at Loglogo because my dad was taking advantage of me. Now, when I go to school, of course, I'm not feeling comfortable sitting at class because I cannot concentrate. My private parts are just, I'm not feeling comfortable sitting at class, so even I cannot concentrate while in class. And also, I had nobody to share with it, because if I tell anybody, they will not respond like it is true.
Sadly, girls as young as 9 years old find themselves enslaved in these harmful practices that in many cases leave them permanently scarred. In response, community-based programs and organizations have been initiated to root out these cultural practices, which are more prevalent in pastoralist communities.
This is the chief. I had to go to the chief's office.
The same day?
The same day. Nika record case yao. Then now I evacuated them from the home. The man was not there that day.
The dad?
The father was not there.
Now your mama akuja kuchapwa.
She had to run away, of course. Akaleta wa mama wengine wakuja wamuongelee. It was hard for her. And because it was hard for her, hatukukaa sana. Within the first 1 year, we had to go back to the home and get this man. Yeye alikuwa ameshatoroka akaenda Tanzania. These mamas, this is during the normal recruitment. I go to schools, I get needy children from the schools, unapata from the head teachers. They tell you, mtoto anapita vizuri but hawezi, amekaa nyumbani and all that. We do that recruitment. I meet their parents.
And with that, we have come to our first short break right here on Newswatch. We'll be bringing you more updates. Stay tuned.
On the next episode of The Rough.
So what do you call this? What is it?
Zoezi la The Rough hatimaye imewadia mji wa Nairobi.
The crew lands in the city on the sun, Nairobi City.
Ni mbali nimetoka
kuwa wako domo. Mirror on the wall, who am I? Does the capital hold gems or rubble? Tune in to The Rough this and every Saturday and a repeat on Sundays at 2 p.m. and Fridays at 10 p.m. only on Hope TV. The Rough, identifying talent, inspiring passion.
Right, and welcome back to the bulletin. And Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza has today released a report on the impacts of the current drought on wildlife in Kenya. The report examines the effects of the current drought on wildlife in Kenya's protected areas and surrounding areas. Addressing the press, CS Malonza confirmed that the different species of wildlife have been affected by the drought, with a total of 14 different species of wildlife being affected between the month of February and October. She added that due to the drought, the country has lost 512 wildebeests, 381 common zebras, 205 elephants, 49 gravy zebras, 51 buffaloes and 21 giraffes, and 8 of them being reticulated kind and 4 being the Maasai species, with the most affected areas being Amboseli, Tsavo and Laikipia Samburu ecosystems.
Most of the wildlife died in the months of August, September and October, with the months of September and October recording the highest number of wildlife deaths due to the drought. The continued worsening of the drought condition could affect more rhinos in the overstocked rhino sanctuaries, and this specifically for Gulia Rhino Sanctuary in Tsavo West National Park. Some of the interventions that the government of Kenya has undertaken include provision of aid to the affected species, and specifically the grave feeding program in northern Kenya and hippo feeding program at Mzima Springs.
You've seen the reports that you've highlighted about our elephants die, giraffes die, and most of our wildlife is affected.
As we know, it has been experiencing a very severe drought. And this drought has extended to Kenya Wildlife Service areas, where wildlife has actually suffered quite a lot. In this region alone, we have lost over 120 wildlife of different types, and out of that, over 100 were elephants that have died in the Tsavo ecosystem. So that is a very big number to die because of drought.
And let's dive into the business news for today. And the Kenya Association of Airline Operators has castigated the decision by the pilots under the Kenya Airline Pilots Association, KALPA, to call for a strike starting tomorrow, the 5th of November 2022. In a statement, the Association of Air Operators urged KALPA to engage KQ Airline management in a more rational manner and urgently seek a speedy resolution to the impasse, as it would damage an already fragile recovery process, not only for the airline but also for the Kenyan aviation sector, which is currently recovering from the COVID-19 hit. Kenya Airways has indicated the industrial stroke will result in a loss of $2.5 million a day, not including the downstream impact on other players. In addition, Kenya Airways is at crossroads as the government continues to support the financial restructuring plan. And the harmful practice of female genital mutilation, that is FGM, early marriages and child sexual abuse still persists despite its ban in 2011. According to a report by the United Nations Population Fund, that is UNFPA, about 813,159 girls in Kenya were at risk of undergoing female genital mutilation between 2015 and 2030. 23% of Kenyan girls are married off before their 18th birthday and another 4% before the age of 15. Faith Imani tells us more on the intervention measures taken so far.
Having been born in one such a community that practices FGM, she narrates that it was purely by God's grace that her family was evacuated from the community's dark practices before it was too late.
I'm grateful to God to have started this journey, although it has been a difficult journey, a journey with so many lessons. And what really pushed me to begin such a program is my story, my background. The culture within my community was actually difficult as I grew up. At that time is when FGM was not really a problem, the government, the churches. And one day I remember when a man came into our home, my dad was there, and he grabbed me to get out the front teeth. And I screamed and I slipped away from him. Luckily, I grabbed my brother because we were only two. The significance of removing the front teeth, first of all, is to fulfill the culture. Dad had to relocate us from the village and we moved to town, where now, Narok Town, where now we got education. I remember my younger siblings getting into boarding school when they were very young. I didn't go through boarding school in primary, but then they had to go through boarding because our home, the village, was not a good space for us, even if our parents were Christians.
She says she painfully watched her cousins and friends on every specific season of the year, going through the cut and thereafter forced into early marriages.
My aunties, my cousins went through the cut, and so it was a discussion that, okay, what about you? The school that I was in, what about you? Kwani hujapitia hiyo kitu? Sisi tunapitia this December. But my parents stood the ground that we cannot do this. There was rejection. There was, they look at you like you've rejected the culture and you're not actually setting the pace.
We also met Mercy, not a real name, who says she was captured unaware in the wee hours of the night and taken through the cut in the dark, leaving her bleeding helplessly.
Time yenye alikuwa anipeane, hiyo ndiye alitangulia kuniambianga. Na time yenye najaribu kukataa, ananiambia huwezi kuwa mtu hadi huwezi heshimika kama hujatahiri. Sasa najaribu kukataa, but maneno yananiambia hadi inaniumiza kwa sababu siwezi pata mtu mwingine nishare naye. Ilikuwa usiku, ilikuwa Friday usiku. Jioni before tulale, nimesikia tu akisema mama mwenye anatahiri wasichana hatuko mbali naye. Ukisimama hivi kwetu na mwangalia ndio ile kwake pale. Ilipofika saa 9 ya usiku, ili kabisa tunalala hadi mama ajui. Ilifika saa 9 na astukia tu nikishikwa. Nikatokeshwa nje. Ili nilishout, nikauliza ni nini, hakuna mwenye ananiongelesha. Time yenye nilijisikia kabisa kuona niko nje, nimemwona tu stepmother. Hadi sikuwa nyumba yetu, ni nyumba stepmother. Niliitana, hakuna mwenye anaitika. Watoto wanalia juu sisters wangu waliamuka. Wao wanalia, mama kuamuka hivi. Nashikwa niko huko kwa stepmother. Hadi ameshangaa. Sasa hapo ndo nilitahiri. Hii kutahiri na hii yote yenye nimepitia, story yote yenye nilikuelezea, yani iliniingia kwangu kama nilizaliwa na nikakuwa nothing. Sikuwa kufanya anything kwa hii dunia juu ya hii yote yenye nafanyiwa. Kwa sababu nilikuwa nashinda nikijiuliza, kama mimi nateswa na nashangaa sijaona mtoto yote mwenye anateswa hivi, hadi ilinifanya niseme nitajiua.
This torture, she says, could not have compared to the endless sexual abuse she received from her own father, a thing she says would often leave her desiring to commit suicide were it not for God's miraculous intervention.
Lakini kando na hao wabibi wawili pia alikuwa ananitaka mimi somehow. Sasa ikafika mahali natoroka kwa sababu nataka shule na ananinyima pia niende shule. Time yenye naambiwa nisiende shule juu ataamka usiku ndio make sure nisiende shule. Hakuwa hapo anaangalia gate ndio nisipite gate na kuponyoka kwenda shule.
Penina, on the other hand, of course not her real name, was rescued just before she went through the cut. This was even after she was sexually abused and the clan was planning to marry her off an old man.
Walikuwa napanga wanifanyie. So Mami Evelyn walikuwa najuana na pastor wa church yenye nilikuwa, kamuuliza hivi kuna antaizani support hapo. Sasa akasema yes. Sasa akanisponsor akanileta from home huku, akanipeleka shule boarding. Waliona nimewekwa shule sasa inaendelea vizuri. Sasa pia mimi niliwaambia sitaki kupitishwa FGM. Nikaongea nao, kaambia mimi nataka kusoma. Na pia waliona pia nimepata sponsorship wenye wananiendeleza mbele nisome kwa masomo. Wakakubali, wakasema sawa. Vile wanatayarisha wasichana asubuhi, they prepare, they wanatafuta mwenye anatayarisha wasichana, and then asubuhi yake wanachukua maji wanaweka juu ya nyumba. Usiku wanaweka maji, sufuria inalala usiku yote. Alafu sasa 5 kiamka unaamka unamwagiliwa, alafu unatayarishwa.
These cases are sadly quite rampant in Kajiado and other arid and semi-arid areas. We visited Kajiado West Children's Department. The officer in charge, Cosmas Carrera, admits that it has been a hard task to root out these cultural practices. He, however, says there has been a lot of intervention measures by the county government.
And most of the time we find ourselves forced to intervene, either to change the community and also to assist the girls. In many instances, we intervene in various ways, whereby most of the time, because of the probability of it happening, and because of the culture being embedded so much in their life, we try to sensitize them, the disadvantages, and even the law, what the law states. And most of the time, they adhere to it. And with time, we have seen the reduction of these cases. Currently, it has come so much down because of the sensitization we have done, not only as the children department, but with other stakeholders and partners. We have so many stakeholders, partners, who play various roles, some in advocacy, others in sheltering these children, others in rescuing, and even others in providing some basic amenities to the families so that they can stop this kind of culture and practices.
Up north in Marsabit County, Nahole, also not her real name, narrates how her father shamelessly took advantage of her since her tender age.
In fact, at the first time, I had nobody to share with it. Even my mother will not accept, my shosh, my auntie, my uncles, they will not accept it. So I just stayed then till nikafika class 5. Vile nimefika hapo, now I had my uncle now akakuja akaongea na Light of Life, then nika rescue. I have been rescued now, and I thank God so much, because in fact the time that I came to Light of Life organization, I was not feeling well at my private part, because when I go to the latrine, I just feel itchy. Nasikia kujikuna. So Yes. And vile nimekuja hapa nikamwelezea Mom Eva, akanipeleka kwa Nairobi Women Hospital, nikalazwa huko for I think 3 days. And vile nimelazwa, I thank God because from that time, in fact I was not performing well, I was just getting 100 marks. Now vile nimekuja hapa nikapelekwa OC, then nikakuwa sawa sana, then nikaenda shule which is boarding school. In fact vile nilikuwa nyumbani nilikuwa tu ina day school. Yeah, lakini sahi nilikuwa nimeletwa huku nikaingia boarding school, nikaanza class 4. Nikaendelea na nikawa na marks mzuri na namshukuru Mungu sana. My mom is just, mamangu alikuwa but hakuwa available every time hakuwa nyumbani. So and kwetu ni kama tu imefenziwa hivi, but nyumba ya shoshi iko pale, ya mama iko pale. Sasa yani ni shosho yangu peke yake ndio ako hapo, nikimpelekea dad food, taking advantage of me.
Eve believed that there is something she can do to change the situation of vulnerable girls in her own home at Kiserian. She has put up an education sponsorship program and rescue home to shelter girls at risk of FGM and sexual abuse. The program has seen over 100 girls successfully complete their education, and most of them have successfully been reintegrated in the communities they come from.
These files shows you the outer program, the program that supports education. We can call it sponsorship program. And it is the older program because the rescue program that we have also right now started 6 years ago. Now it started when out of this program actually, those girls that you support, but during the long holidays in December, something happens at home where now they want to marry them, get them out of school, give them away, cut them. And these girls were already empowered because when we support them, we work with them. I always tell people, when you decide to support a child, walk with them. And walking means try to know beyond education. This child has gotten education, yes. But what about her social life? What about her spiritual life? How is this child able to cope with other challenges that are not education?
The Kajiado County Children's Department officers also hailed such rescue centers and organizations, saying they have been of great help in the bid to curb the evil cultural practices and are calling on the stakeholders to continue partnering for better results.
Child protection is not the responsibility of the government, neither is it a responsibility of even the child or even the parents. It's a responsibility of all of us. And it's a mandate given by God for each one of us to at least protect these children. And you cannot be paid. Nobody can pay you for protecting a child, for making a child happy. It's only God who can be able to reward you. And whatever you do, if it's the best interest of God, of the child, God will always be on your side to protect you and also to bless you. So I insist to the community members, do everything possible to ensure that the child is happy.
The harmful practices of FGM, early marriages and sexual abuse still persist despite being banned in 2011. According to UNFPA report, about 813,159 girls in Kenya were at risk of undergoing female genital mutilation between 2015 and 2030, and 23% of Kenyan girls are married before their 18th birthday, and 4% are married before the age of 15. This is a clear indication that a lot needs to be done in efforts to end the vices. Faith Imani Mugo for Hope TV Newswatch.
And in our sports news for today, members of the KCB Football Club have today attended an integrity training workshop where they were taken through the fundamentals of good football practices ahead of the start of the 2022-2023 Premier League. The workshop, facilitated by the Football Kenya Federation, that is FKF, took place at the KCB Raraka Sports Club and saw their coaches and players get sensitized on the roles and how they need to carry themselves both on the field and outside. Key among these was the rampant issue of match fixing that has seen various teams and players get sanctions from the World Football Governing Body, FIFA. Speaking during the session, the FKF head of Integrity Project and national team noted that the conduct of football stakeholders is critical in enhancing the image of the country to the outside world. KCB head coach Zedekiah Ziko Otieno welcomed the training, saying it will bring sanity to the football community.
I've been here today to conduct an integrity workshop with the KCB Football Club. And this has been occasioned by, and this is one of the many programs that we have with the top tier clubs for a start, which again will roll out to the teams in the other divisions, and again with the match officials and together with club officials. So basically, these are issues touching on integrity in football, more so match fixing, and which, as we are all aware, has been a thorn in our game for the past few years, and which, I mean, has a danger of running down our game. For the past few seasons, we have seen how most of the teams and most of the players are complaining about match fixing, the issues around match fixing, and we as a federation decided to take action, which was occasioned by started by us launching the Integrity Action Plan in 2021, which was launched in the presence of FKFPL clubs.
We played Rainbow yesterday, and 2 days later we want to play a team with us who are with us in the same level. So I think KFC will give us a very good preparation, and for us it will be where to know where we are at the moment while we still wait for the league to kick off.
And elsewhere overseas, teenager Alejandro Garnacho scored an outstanding goal as Manchester United ended Real Sociedad's flawless Europa League record but had to settle for second place in Group E. Eric Ten Hag's side needed to win by 2 goals or more in Spain to finish top of the group, but the Red Devils will now play in February's knockout round playoffs, where they will face one of the clubs dropping down from the Champions League. In another fixture, Kieran Tierney's sublime first-half strike was enough to ensure Arsenal held on to the top spot in Europa League Group A as FC Zurich were beaten 1-0 on a nervy night at the Emirates Stadium. And we have come to the end of the bulletin for today. My name is Tiffany Wamboy. Our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Muredi. Do have a lovely weekend ahead and stay tuned for the rough up next on Hope TV.